Since practically the dawn of animation, Disney has never been afraid of exploring dark themes throughout their films. Death quickly became a pretty routine element of the studio's movies, and it's almost always handled in a way that's emotionally meaningful. Whether it's a parent or another parent, Disney doesn't hold back. But as emotional as some of those deaths are, what about the villains? Good characters aren't the only ones who bite the dust. Karma exists in the Disney universe with a vengeance. In the end, a lot of bad guys don't walk away from all the trouble that they caused, and some of these deaths are straight up brutal. I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and today we're counting down the 15 most brutal Disney villain deaths. But before we begin, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notifications whenever we upload. Let's get started. Number 15, Gaston, Beauty and the Beast. Who better to start off this list than none other than Gaston?
I'm just full of surprises.
The dashing, arrogant hunter was determined to have Belle's hand in marriage, but when he learns that Belle's actually in love with the Beast, Gaston leads an angry mob to his castle. Now, full disclosure, personally, I think that I'm on the Gaston team when it comes to this movie. I mean, the guy stormed a castle to slay a monster to protect the woman that he loves, and let's be real, the Beast actually kidnapped a woman, so he's not all that innocent.
And he shouldn't have trespassed here!
But anyway, a fight breaks out and Gaston is left dangling over a balcony. Beast shows his humanity and gives Gaston mercy, but he's stabbed in the back. Literally. Gaston then loses his grip and slips off into the ravine, screaming all the way down. Number 14, Charles F. Muntz, Up. Are you noticing a trend? A lot of falling down to your death in Disney films. In fact, they say if you make a wish when it happens, it'll come true. In Up, Charles Muntz is the hero Mr. Friedrichsen looked up to, but he and Russell eventually find out Charles Muntz has gone insane. Determined to restore his reputation, Muntz was willing to do anything, even if it meant killing. During the final battle, desperate, he leaps out the window. Unfortunately, he's caught in some balloons and ultimately plummets to his death. At least he was given time to think about his actions on the way down. Number 13, Lyle Tiberius Rourke, Atlantis: The Lost Empire. While Atlantis: The Lost Empire might not be the best Disney movie, it certainly has one of the most ruthless villains.
That crystal is the only thing keeping these people alive. You take that away and they'll die.
Well, that changes things. Helga, what do you think?
Knowing that, I'd double the price.
I was thinking triple.
Commander Lyle Tiberius Rourke is as determined as he is ruthless. Towards the end of the film, after he terrorizes Atlantis as well as his troops and Helga, he finds himself pit in a fight against Milo. Ultimately, it's his determination and recklessness that leads to him being cut and crystallized by the heart of Atlantis. Turned into a crystallized monster, he still has the strength to go after Milo, but once again his recklessness gets the better of him and falls onto a moving propeller. Ouch. I guess you can call him a diamond in the rough. Number 13, Maleficent, Sleeping Beauty. It goes without saying that Maleficent is one of the most classic Disney villains, so it's only right that she be on our list. In a final battle, the self-proclaimed mistress of all evil turns into a dragon and battles Prince Philip. It isn't until she's stabbed in the heart by the Sword of Truth and falls into a pit of lava that she's finally killed. At least she went out in a blaze of glory. Number 12, Turbo/King Candy, Wreck-It Ralph. For such a fun, colorful, and downright funny movie, this came as a bit of a shock. But honestly, you shouldn't ever trust somebody who dresses like this. When the weird, quirky, insane King Candy is revealed to be Turbo, he crashes his car and is eaten alive by a cybug. He eventually comes back fused with a cybug that ate him.
Look at that, it's his little friend. Let's watch her die together, shall we?
Unfortunately for him, Ralph causes an eruption that attracts all the cybugs and King Candy flies right into the molten hot cola, all while totally aware that he's heading directly towards his death and unable to pull away.
Now, go into the light.
That's actually pretty grim. Number 11, Bill Sikes, Oliver and Company. Bill Sikes is a relentless, cold-hearted loan shark from New York. In a confrontation with Oliver, Mr. Sikes finds himself and his small sports car on the wrong side of the tracks. He's ultimately obliterated by a train. There's really not a whole lot you can say about this one, as it's pretty self-explanatory. Getting hit by a train at full speed is pretty rough. At least it was over quick for him. Number 10. The Evil Queen, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We knew she was evil, I mean, it's in her name, but did she really deserve to go out like this? Rhetorical question. Yes. While the old hag is standing on the edge of a cliff, she gets blindsided by a lightning strike that destroys the ledge that she's standing on. She falls to her death, make a wish, and her reign is over. And if she did happen to survive, don't worry too much, because that big boulder that fell right after her surely finished her off. And let's not forget that those vultures are probably going to eat her corpse, so we can chalk this one up as a happy ending. Number 9. Dr. Facilier, the Princess, and the Frog. Dr. Facilier, also known as the Shadow Man, is an evil witch doctor who plotted to take over New Orleans with the assistance of his friends from the other side. In case you're wondering who they are, they're a legion of demons, so probably not the ideal group of people to be palling around with. After he fails and Tiana breaks the talisman, his friends from the other side come to collect his soul.
I promise I'll pay your match! I promise!
He tries to escape, but is dragged into the voodoo mask. And based on the face from the tombstone, the witch doctor isn't enjoying himself. I mean, the man is literally dragged to hell. That's pretty hardcore. Number 8. Hopper, A Bug's Life. Oh, Hopper, you tyrannical son of a gun.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line.
What makes this villain so interesting is that he's, well, literally a dictator, so you knew the ending was not going to be kind to him. It never is. At the end of the film, Flick outsmarts Hopper by luring him to a bird who snatches and brings him to her babies. Hopper frantically screams for his life before being devoured alive by some adorable little baby birds. And fun fact, this won't be the last time being eaten alive appears on this list. Number 7. Shan Yu Mulan. Although there are redeemable villains out there, Shan Yu isn't one of them.
By building his wall, he challenged my strength. Well, I'm here to play his game.
Invading a country and obliterating villages is just something that cannot be tolerated, so the dude had to go one way or another. Now, while being buried alive in an avalanche sounds like a proper end to such an evil reign, Shan Yu wasn't going to be taken out that easily. In the climax of the movie, he's met with something a bit more explosive. A large firework missile that hits him in the chest, sends him into a tower, and blows him up. Leaving us with a brutal, yet also cinematically beautiful death. You shouldn't have invaded China, my dude. Number 6. Ursula, the Little Mermaid. After being banished from Atlantica, Ursula seeks vengeance. Eventually, she gives Ariel a set of legs in exchange for her voice, and then blackmails Ariel's father into giving her his magical trident, which allows her to transform into a giant Super Ursula and control the weather. Unfortunately for her, Prince Eric steers a ship and impales her like he's Vlad the Impaler, and then she's struck by lightning, because why not? Finally, she goes down like the Titanic. Number 5. Syndrome, The Incredibles. What's the one rule you were supposed to take from The Incredibles?
No capes!
You don't wear a cape. After The Incredibles foil his plan, Syndrome does the next best thing and kidnaps Jack-Jack. This is later found to be a mistake, as Jack-Jack beats the holy crap out of him. It gives Elastigirl enough time to get Jack-Jack and beat Syndrome. Unfortunately for him, Syndrome is caught and sucked into a jet engine.
Oh no.
As painful as that sounds, fate was at least a little merciful and blew the jet up to end things for Syndrome quickly. That said, getting sucked into a jet propeller, whew, what a way to go. Number 4. Scar, the Lion King. Scar is the villain that everybody loves to hate. He killed his own brother, Mufasa, and he tries to have Simba killed as well.
Long live the king.
In addition to this, the kingdom is thrown into complete chaos and on the verge of starvation. We're actually going to be exploring a theory in our next video that actually paints Scar in a more positive light, but for now, let's stick to the whole him being evil thing. During the climax of the film, Scar is thrown off the side of a cliff. he's eaten alive by the hyena friends that he just sold out. And really, that's a horrible way to go.
No, you don't understand. No, I didn't mean. No, I didn't my no.
Side note, according to Joe Rogan's podcast, a lot of predators actually eat their prey butt end first, so that makes this an extra awful way to go. Number 3, Oogie Boogie, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Look, I understand Oogie's death isn't going to be celebrated considering how much fans of The Nightmare Before Christmas love this character. Yeah, he's awful, but at the end of the day, he's a troll, he's funny, he's got an awesome singing voice, what's not to love?
You're joking. You're joking. I can't believe my eyes. You're joking me. You gotta be. This can't be the right guy.
But Oogie Boogie's death is as brutal as it is disgusting. It's revealed that he's really made up of a pile of bugs. Oogie gets his wrappings stuck and unraveled, forcing all the bugs inside of him to fall into a hot smelter.
5 bugs. 5 bugs.
Brutal, gross, and pretty awesome. Number 2, William Cecil Clayton, Tarzan. Calling Clayton a jerk would be the understatement of the year. From the start, you wanted something bad to happen to this guy, for something in the jungle to eat him or poison him or something.
I think this one will be better off stuffed.
But there's something about the way he went out that's a little more memorable and a lot more dark than deaths from other Disney films. While he fights Tarzan, he gets tangled in some vines and tries to cut himself free. Just not successfully. When he falls, the vines tighten around his neck and the guy essentially lynches himself. And frankly, we have to give this one some bonus points if only for the imagery. Look at that shot. How often are you going to see something that dark in a Disney film? The silhouette, the lightning, and the imagery is just brutal. And finally, number 1, Judge Claude Frollo, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Frollo is oftentimes looked at as one of the more vile Disney villains, if only for how horribly evil he is to Quasimodo. In the final battle, Esmeralda is left hanging onto Quasimodo and Judge Frollo while they dangle over a balcony.
And he shall smite the wicked and plunge them into the fiery pit.
Judge Frollo gets free and readies his sword while throwing out Bible verses like he's Jules from Pulp Fiction.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
Ironically, the gargoyle he's standing on breaks, sending him plunging into the fiery hell pit below. This is our pick for number 1 because of just how epic it looks, how symbolic it is, and how ironic it is for this religious villain to be hurled into the hellfire below him. It really doesn't get any more brutal than this. Or at least, that's our opinion. But that was our list. What do you think? Do you agree with our countdown, or do you think we missed the mark? Which Disney villain do you think had the most brutal death? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notifications whenever we upload. But most importantly, stay wicked.